Before I begin, close your eyes for a moment and imagine the face of the one you love most in this world. Now imagine that same face turning cold, empty, and cruel. Imagine their voice once filled with love, whispering words, sharp enough to shatter your soul. That was my reality. That was my nightmare. If you have been through this pain, please subscribe to my channel now. Hit that notification bell, share your story in the comments below, and let's build a circle of strength together. You're not alone. This story is for every mother who needs to remember how strong she truly is. Before I begin, close your eyes for a moment and imagine the face of the one you love most in this world. Now imagine that same face turning cold, empty, and cruel. Imagine their voice once filled with love, whispering words sharp enough to shatter your soul. That was my reality. That was my nightmare due. You know what it feels like when your own child, the one you carried for 9 months, the one you fed with, your own hands looks you dead in the eyes and says, just die. Let me take you to that night. The clock struck 2:30 a.m. The house was silent except for the echo of those words pounding inside my skull. My body sat at the edge of the bed, frozen, my heart. It wasn't beating, it was shattered. I stared at the bedroom door long after he walked away. My son, my flesh and blood, the one I gave everything to. That night, something inside me died, but somewhere in that hollow emptiness, a spark lit. I whispered to myself, I will not die. If you're watching this, if you're a mother, if you've ever been betrayed, this story is for you. Subscribe, stay with me. Let me tell you how those words became the reason I chose to live, and how I took back everything that was stolen from me, and maybe how I found peace again. Life wasn't perfect, but I thought it was peaceful. I was a mother too, a wife once, a woman who lived for her family. Mornings were quiet cups of tea, afternoons filled with laundry, and dinners that carried the smell of love. My home was my sanctuary. I believed that love would protect me from heartbreak. Then came the storm. I never imagined the knives wouldn't come from strangers, but from those I raised. That night, my son, my firstborn, came to me eyes cold. He said things that no mother deserves to hear. My crime, I existed. I was in the way of what he wanted: property, control, money, power. And when words weren't enough, he threw the final dagger. Why don't you just die? Time stopped. I wanted to scream, but the pain was too sharp to form a sound. I watched him walk away as if nothing had happened. Sat there for hours, the walls closing in every memory. The first time he called me mama, the nights I stayed awake nursing his fever, his graduation day, they all came rushing like daggers, piercing through what was left of my heart. And then I realized this wasn't betrayal. This was murder. He had killed the mother who forgave, who hoped, who loved unconditionally. In the days that followed the betrayal, deepened his wife, my daughter-in-law, joined him. Together they turned the house I built into a prison where I was unwelcome. My home felt alien. My voice felt silence. My presence was seen as a threat. I slept less, I cried more. My heart ached like never before. Every knock on the door felt like another attack. Every whispered conversation behind closed doors felt like a conspiracy. I stopped cooking meals, stopped opening windows. The sunlight became a stranger, and every shadow in my home felt darker. Then the last I remember, sitting in the kitchen late at night, staring at the empty chairs where my children once laughed. The silence screamed louder than their words ever could. I disappeared. Not from the world, but from myself. Days melted into nights. I avoided mirrors, I avoided people, I avoided life each morning. I woke up hoping it was a nightmare. But nightmares end. This didn't. He replayed every moment. What did I do wrong? Where did I fail? The guilt ate me alive. My body remained, but my soul wandered lost. But in that silence, something else was growing. Hunger, not for revenge. Not yet. But for answers and maybe justice. I began to observe like a ghost within my own house. I listened to their whispered conversations. I watched them count my belongings, plan their future without me. Every laugh they shared felt like acid poured on my wounds. One morning I stood up. Not because I was healed, but because I was too tired of lying down. I whispered again, but louder this time, "I will not die." And the woman who rose wasn't the mother he remembered. The days that followed were filled with small victories. I forced myself to eat, to shower, to walk into the sunlight. My neighbors noticed. They asked no questions, but offered soft smiles, even silence. From strangers felt like comfort. I found an old notebook and began to write every memory, every betrayal, every tear. I filled pages upon pages. The ink became my therapy. Each word written was a step away from despair. Each night I read those pages by candlelight, reminding myself that I still had a voice, even if they tried to silence it. Revenge doesn't start with action. It starts with reclaiming control. I began small, very small. I changed the locks, collected every legal document, visited a lawyer in secret, secured my accounts, every signature, every asset, every piece of paper. I reclaimed it step by step. I educated myself about my rights. I read for hours. I learned that silence was a weapon they used against me. Knowledge was mine. Now I removed my son's name from the property deed. When he came demanding answers, I smiled softly and said nothing every time. I signed a document reclaiming my life. I felt one thread of my soul stitch itself back together. I began to speak to people. Again, trusted people, friends I had long forgotten. Their voices reminded me that I was not worthless. I was a woman wronged, and wronged women don't seek mercy. They seek justice. I became that woman. I took photos of every document. I kept them hidden. I recorded every conversation. My house became a silent battlefield where every small action was a step toward freedom. And then one night I wrote a letter to myself. I wrote down every insult, every threat, and I burned that letter as its ashes faded. Into nothingness, I felt something lift off my chest. I was ready. Days turned into weeks. I set secret meetings with advocates for women like me. I learned how to build a case, how to protect myself legally. My world, once small and suffocating, expanded every morning. I looked at myself in the mirror. The face staring back was tired, older, scarred, but her eyes were awake. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to fight. My revenge wasn't loud. It was silent, precise, ruthless. I revoked every power of attorney they tricked me into signing, froze the accounts they thought they controlled, collected evidence of their manipulation. I made copies of every threatening message, every abusive voice note. I documented everything. Then I filed a legal case. Not to destroy them, but to protect myself. The day my son received the legal notice, I watched from behind the curtain. He stood frozen outside my gate, his arrogance crumbling. He didn't see the mother he once commanded. He saw the woman he underestimated. My revenge wasn't that he suffered. My revenge was that I survived. I remember the courtrooms, the papers, the long hours of waiting. Each step was heavy, but I carried it all, not for revenge alone, but for every woman who has been told her life is over. In the end, the house was mine, the peace was mine, and his silence, that was my victory. But more than the courtrooms, the real battle was within. Standing alone in a house stripped of warmth, yet still standing. That was my greatest revenge today. My house was silent again, but not from sorrow. From peace, I planted a small garden. Every morning, I water it. It reminds me that life, even broken, can bloom again. Do I still think of them? Yes, but no longer with pain. With clarity, they lost may gain myself. And if you're listening, remember this. If your child, your husband, your family, or the world tells you to just die, let that be your reason to live. Let their words build your new life, because strength isn't the absence of heartbreak. It's choosing to keep walking while your heart bleeds. I spend my evenings now listening to the ocean waves beyond my garden. Each wave feels like a promise that life moves forward no matter how brutal the past. I started helping women like me. I share my story in whispers, in small meetings. Every time I see another mother find her strength, I know my pain served a purpose. The house that once echoed with betrayal now holds the laughter of women healing together. Sound of laughter, that is my real victory, I once thought. Being a mother meant sacrificing everything I learned too late, that it also means protecting yourself. So, to every woman watching this, every mother, every daughter betrayed, I leave you with this. When they break you, do not wait for them to heal you. Stand up, reclaim your life, build walls they cannot climb, plant seeds they cannot steal, and when they look back, let them find nothing but your silence. This is my story, and it could be yours too, my dear sisters, my fellow mothers. Let your scars be your strength, not your shame. Remember, your story doesn't end when they say it should. It begins when you say, so if you felt this story, share it. Maybe there's a mother out there who needs to hear it tonight, to the woman who sits in her darkened room, broken and silent. I speak to you now. I was you, and I promise there is life beyond your pain. There is strength beyond your tears. Do not let their cruelty write your ending. Rise, fight, heal, not for them, for yourself. And when you do, let your story be the light that guides another woman from her darkness. If my journey touched your heart, if it stirred something deep inside you, don't let this moment fade. Join me, subscribe to this channel, comment your story. Connect with me and countless others who carry invisible scars but wear them like armor. Now together we can build a circle of strength where no woman stands alone, because here we don't just survive, we rise together.